Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, Donald Trump is so desperate to juice his deportation numbers. He's trying to deport a decorated veteran. Also, his Gestapo is just grabbing innocent teenagers off the street and throwing them in that El Salvador hellhole of a prison. So, I have details to share with you guys on that front. I also have a video to show you of Trump's ICE Gestapo lying in order to try to gain access to an immigrant and snatch her out of her own home. I also have some polling to share, which proves what Trump is doing, especially with men like Abrego Garcia, who he refuses to bring back from this hellhole. This is not popular with the vast majority of Americans. So it's imperative that we get these details out to the general public. And having said that, before I dive into the details, please do me a huge favor. Click on the subscribe button below this video. It is completely free to subscribe. It helps the channel tremendously, especially with the YouTube algorithm, so that more people are exposed to this information. So, on to this disturbing news. So, Rolling Stone, they reported that the Trump administration is trying to deport U.S. Army veteran and Purple Heart recipient Jose Barco. So, Barco came to the U.S. when he was a toddler. He was only 4 years old. And when he was in the Army, he completed an application to become a U.S. citizen. His commanding officer admits he helped him to complete this document, but then it vanished. Somewhere along the line, this document disappeared, and so it was never reviewed. So he never became an official U.S. citizen. But this guy more than proved his allegiance to our country. He was deported twice to serve in Iraq, and he served in heavy combat zones. In 2004, Barco experienced a traumatic brain injury and severe burns on his body because there was an explosion and he went flying through the air and slammed into a wall. So, as you can imagine, in addition to the brain injury, he has PTSD. Now, unfortunately, between these two medical conditions, he became unstable. And in 2008, he fired a random shot into a crowd of people. The bullet injured a pregnant teenager, and so he was sentenced to 15 years in jail for attempted murder. So Barco earned an early release. He got out due to good behavior. Well, in January, right after he was released from jail, after serving many years for this crime, Trump's Gestapo show up and grab him, and they tried to dump him in Venezuela. So that's where he comes from, and so they were trying to deport him to Venezuela. Venezuela, though, refused to accept him. So he is now still sitting in an ICE detention center. Again, this has been since January, and the U.S. is trying to figure out what to do with him. Now, admittedly, he isn't the most sympathetic immigrant, right? I mean, given his crime, what we know, though, from all of the studies on traumatic brain injury, on PTSD, people who suffer with these conditions need medical help. They need psychological intervention. Their behavior very often is beyond their control. They cannot control what's going on in their brain. And anyone, in my opinion, who fights for our country deserves more than to just be dumped in another country where they don't even remember. He doesn't have any memory of Venezuela. This is his home. Again, he has been here since he was 4 years old. So we'll see what happens with that case. I also wanted to share the story of a 19-year-old. His name is Merwell Gutierrez. Gutierrez is from Venezuela as well. He was living in New York, and ICE came and snatched him up as well. His family says he has no arrest record. He's committed no crimes. He has no tattoos, which they had been using to identify other people. He has no gang affiliation. And an immigration attorney confirmed There is no evidence that he is in a gang, that he had committed any crimes, nothing again to show that he's a danger. But he is one of more than 200 men that the Trump administration threw on an airplane against a judge's wishes, against a judge's order, threw him in that El Salvador prison. So he is now sitting in that prison as a 19-year-old young man where it's notorious for human rights violations. So Guterres' arrest appears to have been another mistake made by the Trump administration, because Guterres' father, he had brought his son to the U.S. in 2023, and he told an independent news outlet, quote, "The officers grabbed him and two other boys right at the entrance to our building. One said, 'No, he's not the one,' like they were looking for someone else. But the other said, 'Take him anyway.'" So they didn't have a warrant. They weren't even there to arrest Guterres. But because he happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, they grabbed him. So his son was able to contact him. He was in an ICE facility in Pennsylvania, and that was the last time they spoke. That was in mid-March. And Guterres told his dad, "Oh, I'm going to be flown to Texas, and then I think they're just going to take me back to Venezuela." That is obviously not what happened. That they never put him back on a plane to Venezuela. Guterres searched high and low for his son, could not find him, and finally he found out he is in this horrific prison in El Salvador. So this 19-year-old young man who's done nothing wrong may never see the light of day again. I also, like I said, want to share this video with you guys. This was posted on TikTok by an immigration attorney. The attorney wrote in the video description, quote, "ICE showing up 5 deep and armed at one of my clients' house, claiming to be doing a welfare check on a minor waiting for a green card." So take a look at how deceptive they are. These people just have no shame. These are government employees. These are people being paid with our tax dollars, and you have 5 agents showing up to one person's home and then lying about why they're there. This is the real waste, fraud, and abuse. These are the people who need to be doged. So check out this video.
These people, these are ICE hanging out in front of my client's house. So we're gonna see what's up. Oh, it's too early for this, y'all. What's going on? Who do y'all represent? Who do y'all represent?
Who are you?
I'm the family lawyer here.
Okay, guess my identification.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, who do you represent?
HSI, Homeland Security Investigations.
All right, what's going on?
We need to talk to her, make sure she's doing okay.
Who? That's not her.
I work for him.
Yeah.
We're looking for Amy.
For what?
We're doing a welfare check on her to make sure she's doing okay. That's
What's
all part of,
what's the
listen,
basis?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
You're recording this, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Immigration court case has been closed by the judge. We're just waiting on what are we waiting on?
Just for the priority date.
Priority
So
date
get
for her green
so
card.
She can request her green card.
Perfect. We still need to talk to her.
Okay, I can set up an appointment at my office. We can do that.
Perfectly fine. You got a card?
Nah, but I can give you my name and number. Come on, man. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. She's around somewhere, I'm assuming.
Again, you need to talk to the sponsor and the...
Okay, so now you need to talk to the sponsor too. You say you need to talk to her. Now, who you need to talk to so I can set you up.
Well, I would...
Because I'm trying to prevent you all from coming back into this neighborhood. You understand? And she's doing fine. I don't know what. Again, I know what you're here for. I don't know if this is the first time this has ever happened. So this must be a new policy.
Any other questions?
Nah, you.
Nope.
All right. Yeah, you too.
So as you saw, they're all dressed in plain clothes, You know, their vehicles are unmarked, show up in just regular vehicles, no uniforms, no identifying clothing, no badges, and five of them, five to come do a welfare check on a child. Are you freaking kidding me? And, oh, we're just here to make sure she's okay. Yeah, well, this has been happening, apparently. This has been happening throughout the country. They don't give a damn about the welfare of these children. This is an excuse for them to take these kids into custody, take their family members into custody, and then deport them. And the Trump administration had pulled funding, by the way, for public defenders for kids who had come into the country by themselves. So what I'm reading is that a lot of these kids now are showing up in court and they have no representation. They have no one to present their asylum claim to the court. They have no one to present the facts about their circumstances. It's lunacy. This is so cruel, so inhumane. And again, what a freaking waste of our tax dollars. But you're going to go fire veterans. You're going to go take services away from veterans. You're going to cancel the research into Alzheimer's and cancer and, childhood diseases. You're going to take food out of the mouths of children, school children, while simultaneously taking income away from farmers who are being paid for that food for the schools. But we can pay for 5 freaking agents to show up at one house and lie and pretend they're doing a welfare check. This is such bullshit. And as I mentioned before, Trump's actions are not that popular. People will say when they take these polls, and unfortunately, this is why I don't like polls. This is why I like focus groups instead, because with a poll, you get a yes or no answer typically. So people say, oh, or the pollsters, do you support Donald Trump's immigration policies or mass deportation? And people go, yeah, because what they heard him say on the campaign trail was, we're going to get the criminals out. We're going to go after the worst of the worst. We're going to get rid of the gang members, the murderers, the rapists, blah, blah, blah. He didn't say we're going to go after a couple as they did just about a month ago in Southern California, a Laguna Hills, which is in Orange County, California, down by not on the beach, but, near the beach. A couple who had been here for like 30 years, both working, had never committed any crimes, had never stepped out of line, had done nothing wrong. And yet they kicked them out of the country. If he had told voters that that's what he was going to do, there's no way that people would want him wasting our tax dollars on things like that. He's just trying to, like I said, juice up the numbers and go, oh, look at how many people I deported, and these were all heinous criminals. Total bullshit. But when you actually drill down in these polls and when you ask people specifically about what he's doing or what he might do, people change their minds. These people taking these polls change their minds. So check out this chart that was created by a group called Strength in Numbers. When voters were asked about deporting undocumented immigrants accused of committing violent crimes, that received the highest approval. So it had a plus 81 approval rating. However, when they asked, do you support deporting undocumented immigrants who have been in the U.S. for more than 10 years, that had a negative approval of negative 37%. When they asked voters if they agree with deporting undocumented immigrants who haven't broken any laws other than just entering the country illegally, even that question received a negative 18% approval. So it is underwater by 18 points. And then as for the idea that Trump is now positing of deporting U.S. citizens, even U.S. criminals, to other countries, yeah, that is not popular either. So that had a negative 14% rating. So Trump and the Republicans right now, they run the risk of overplaying their hand. They run the risk of pissing off people who maybe weren't all that on board, who aren't full MAGA. You know, they were reluctant Trump voters who basically just voted because they wanted the economy to get better, and they had this, you know, unrealistic memory of what 2020 was like, and 2017 through 2020 and his first presidency. I mean, I've said before, COVID saved him. As much as it hurt his presidency, it also saved him, because he would have gotten us to where we are right now. We would have been in a recession. He is that ignorant. He is that inept. So anyway, yeah, I mean, if they start hearing the truth, which is why, I ask you guys to share these videos, because it's not enough to just preach to the choir. We've got to get it out to the masses. And, if people start to see that, oh my God, he's deporting veterans who earned the Purple Heart, the guy did something wrong, but he's suffering from these medical conditions, and, innocent 19-year-old kids now thrown into a black hole site, essentially, where he may never be seen again. They're not on board with that. And especially if it's simultaneously happening, while the economy's tanking, inflation's increasing, Trump is decimating retirement accounts. So yeah, we need to get this out there. More people need to be made aware of what is truly going down. So anyway, I will let you know if I hear more or when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Again, please subscribe to the channel if you have not. Please like this video. Please share it with everybody you know, so they do understand what's going on, and so that they share it and we get it into the hands of the people that need to see it the most. And if you can donate, really, really appreciate it. It helps to keep the show going. So thank you all again. Take care. Love you all. I'll talk with you soon.